The notorious Conor McGregor. Chances are you've heard of him. He went from popular regional fighter to, frankly, mythical king of the UFC. And yet, despite being in the spotlight almost constantly, there is still a fair bit that many fans don't know about him. Did you know he calls his own fans McGregor nut huggers, for example? Alright, that might not be true, but I thought I'd get that in ahead of you comment section. Anyway, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture MMA, and these are 10 things you didn't know about Conor McGregor. Number 10. McGregor is a huge advocate of movement coach Ido Portal. Precision beats power and timing beats speed. It's up there with "Who the f*** is that guy" as one of the best lines Conor McGregor has come out with. Now, that timing came about from several things. A lifetime of training, obviously, John Kavanagh's coaching, round after round of sparring, and movement coach Ido Portal. Portal has spent decades teaching movement to pro athletes, but rather than focusing on one aspect of the discipline, he prefers to look at the overall concept of it. Whether you think it is touch putt in the park or key to Conor McGregor's success, you can't argue about its results. Number 9. He worked as a plumber starting out. We all have to start somewhere, right? Rich Franklin was once a math teacher, Demetrius Mighty Mance Johnson drove a forklift throughout some of his fighting career, and Conor was the guy you'd call to fix a leaky tap in Dublin. Being forced to choose between training full-time and keeping his day job, Conor decided to dive headlong into the fight game, and looking back, yeah, that does seem like the right call. Although if you do have a sink he wants fixed, maybe worth sticking it on eBay, eh? Number 8. He completely changed his training approach thanks to Nate Diaz. Diaz handed McGregor his first UFC loss at UFC 196 in March 2016 as Conor gassed in the second round and ended up getting himself submitted. The world, unlike Nate Diaz, was shocked. McGregor, however, went back to the drawing board, looking to his opponent as an inspiration as to how to train for the rematch. Diaz has long been known for having fantastic cardio, both him and Nick run triathlons after all, and do a hell of a lot of bike work too. Suddenly, in the lead up to UFC 202, you saw McGregor pedaling as much as you saw him honing his striking. But at the end of the day, it worked. He won the rematch, going the full 5 rounds for a majority decision win. Number 7. 9 of his 10 UFC fights were bonus winners. Prior to the arrival of Conor McGregor, Chael Sonnen was known as the best trash talker in the sport. He talked shit like it was part of his training regime. The only issue he had was sometimes backing up what he'd said in the octagon. Although, maybe don't tell him I said that. McGregor, well, he hasn't had any such problems. Love him or hate him, and you've already made your decision in the comment section, no doubt. Every time he has made that walk, he has put on one hell of a show. 9 of his 10 UFC fights have either won performance or the fight of the night bonus. That is an unheard of percentage in the UFC. Number 6. He's held 2 belts simultaneously twice. At the historic UFC 205, Conor McGregor became the first man to hold 2 championships in the UFC simultaneously. Yes, all right, it lasted about as long as a Bruce Buffer introduction, but it was still a momentous occasion in the history of MMA. But that wasn't the first time McGregor has held double gold. Back in 2012, prior to joining the UFC, he won the Cage Warriors featherweight and lightweight titles. So McGregor has been a champ twice, which probably explains why so often he does what the f he wants. Number 5. He's gone from welfare to an estimated net worth of over 60 million. Back in 2012, Conor McGregor relinquished his Cage Warriors titles in order to sign with the UFC. He wasn't making a great deal of money in the fight game back then, and he even had to pick up a welfare check of 180 euros in late March of that year. But a week later, he had his UFC base pay, a win bonus, and 60 G's, baby. From that point on, he never looked back. Goodbye welfare, hello to fancy cars, fine dining, and thinking wearing stuff like this is acceptable. Number 4. His shoes need passports. Speaking of McGregor's fashion habits, some of the shoes that Conor McGregor owns are so snazzy they require their own travelling passport. Now this is because certain states outlaw the purchase of animal skin products, and Conor has a bit of a penchant for crocodile and python skin footwear for some reason. If he forgets the passports for the shoes, they get seized. Rich people problems, eh? Number 3. His sister was a pro bodybuilder. The notorious one isn't the only competitive athlete in the family. Erin McGregor, Conor's older sister, was once a pro bodybuilder. Whilst not as famous or successful as her little bro, she did appear at Fitness Extravaganza 2013, amongst other events. She even picked up a few wins too. Basically, this is not a family to f with. Number 2. His Mystic Mac nickname is well earned. Conor McGregor is scary good at predicting the future. Here is a brief list of the shots called by McGregor that he got right. Knocking out Eddie Alvarez in the second round of their UFC 205 bout, predicting he'd be a UFC champion before he ever even signed with the promotion, KOing Diego Brandao in the first round, that is one of his earliest UFC predictions, and knocking out Dustin Poirier, even predicting he'd set it up by cracking him with a jab, which he did. Mental. McGregor also predicted he'd have the biggest gate and pay-per-view numbers in 2015, and that Jose Aldo would pull out of their fight, which he did, before it eventually went down at UFC 194. Amazingly, the biggest prediction of all, though, was his Chad Mendes prediction. He tried to bet Dana White that he'd knock Mendes out in the second round. And this wasn't some fun little side bet. He tried to bet the human thumb $3 million. Dana White refused, which is a good job because, of course, McGregor was right. He predicts these things. Number 1. Dana White had never seen him fight when he was signed to the UFC. Yep, despite being a champ in Cage Warriors, Conor just wasn't really on Dana's radar at the time. But UFC fans, who, as we know, can be pretty vocal, hounded the UFC president, who listened to popular opinion, flew McGregor out to Vegas, and the rest is history. Speaking to Esquire later, White referred to McGregor as a penny stock that worked out beyond his wildest dreams. No shit. He is now one of the biggest sports stars in the world, the first ever simultaneous two-weight champion, and a man who makes headlines wherever he goes, even if he's not fighting. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comment section below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam, and I'll see you soon. Wow, wasn't that great, guys? I don't know, it's your decision. Subscribe if you enjoyed it down here. Check out more of our content over here, or check out some of our other channels over here. Oh, you better click it before I do. No, seriously, you should click it though.